Will speak the University of Calabar song.
Neath the broad expanse of Nigeria's sky stands a school with a vision bright, ever holding the banner of knowledge. I will go forward by wisdom's might. All hail to the alma mater. We have come from near and far to unite in Calabar. We'll work to build our alma mater, University of Calabar. May our quest for knowledge in every field have its purpose to serve mankind, with the fervent hope that our efforts yield fruit for all who will come behind. All hail to the alma mater. We have come from near and far to unite in Calabar. We'll work to build our alma mater, University of Calabar. Mighty God, from whom all knowledge comes, let the wisdom in us overflow. May the knowledge gained in our campus here guide our steps as we onward go. All hail to the alma mater. We have come from near and far to unite in Calabar. We'll work to build our alma mater, University of Calabar.
May I welcome every one of us here present to the 156th Inaugural Lecture of the University of Calabar. As we all know, Inaugural Lecture is a forum where professors share their wealth of knowledge through research with all of us. And so today is for a distinguished professor who will be introduced later. And his topic says Strategies, Execution, the Organized War Arsenal for Consequential Boom and Doom of the Business Ecosystem. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before we go further into the crux of today's matter, may I recognize members of the high table here present. But first to be recognized is a Vice-Chancellor of the University of Calabar. He is no other person than Professor Offiong Efanga Offiong. Can we put our hands together for him? Welcome, sir. May I also recognize and introduce to you the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic, Professor Ikaite Inang. Please put your hands together for her. And also to be recognized and introduced is the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Administration, and he is Professor Anthony Akpan Okiwedu. Please put your hands together for him. You're welcome, sir. Seated close to him, we have the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research, Linkages and Collaborations. He is no other person than Professor Anthony Energy. Please put your hands together for him. And may I recognize the registrar of this great institution? She is Dr. Mrs. Chukwuka Icha. Can we please put our hands together for her? And may I also recognize the university librarian, Professor Anabiet Ntui. Please put your hands together for her. Members of councils here present, former vice-chancellors here present, and may I recognize the chairman, Committee of Deans, Professor Inang Budai. Can we put our hands together for him? The Provost, College of Medical Sciences, Professor Ngumgum, Provost School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Eyo Ubara Eyo. Please put your hands together for me there. Provost College of Education, Professor German Ifa Anabubu. You're welcome, sir. The citation reader, he is going to unravel the shadow behind the 156th Inaugural Lecture. And she is the former head of Department of Business Management. She is no other person than Dr. Rebecca Oliver Eno. Please put your hands together for her. And may I introduce to you an esteemed scholar of strategic management, research, and entrepreneurship, who is also the 156th Inaugural Lecturer from the Department of Business Management. He is Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan. Please put your hands together for him. He will be properly introduced by the citation reader in the course of the lecture. And may I recognize the Dean Management Science and Administration, Professor Basi Iyobasi. Please put your hands together for me here. Deans of other faculties here present, heads of department and unit, directors of the institute, erudite professors here present, Chairman Ceremonial Committee, University of Calabar, Emeritus Professor Chris Nwamo, members of the university community, Malabite and Malabresis. Malabite and Malabresis, thank you so much. At this point, may I recognize the immediate family of our inaugural lecturer. The first to be recognized, his beautiful wife. When I say she's radiant, I don't mean words. It's better have sugar in his tea when he takes the tea. She is Mrs. Favor Ngwama Emmanuel. She's there. Can you please stand so that they can see you? Can we put our hands together for her? You're welcome, madam. Children are also here present. Maudlin Emmanuel Akpan. You're welcome. Etienne Emmanuel Akpan. Magdalene Emmanuel Akpan. In school, Ukemabasi Emmanuel Akpan. Can we please put our hands together for them? The siblings are also here, Mrs. Inemeset Abai and Mrs. Favor Samson. Clergies are here, Deputy Field Superintendent, Apostolic Church, Nigeria, Pastor William Idet, Pastor Professor Pama, and Pastor Inimfon Umore. These are all his invited guests. Right Honorable Dr. Daniel Akpan, Mr. Nsim Nyoyopo, General Manager, Zenith Bank PLC. I don't know if she's here. Mrs. Efreda Asuko, if she's here. General Manager, Globus Bank, Calabar, Mr. Edet Ikanem. They are here. Please put your hands together for them. Then the MD, Honesty Global Services, Agu Innocent Adam is here. Please put your hands together. The Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Management Charter, Cross River State Chapter, Isu Egoibo FNIM. Can we put our hands together for them? At this point, may I now hand over the microphone to the registrar. Please continue with the further proceedings of the 156th Inaugural Lecture as we put our hands together for her.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Permit me to call on the chairman of this occasion and the 12th Vice-Chancellor of the University of Calabar, Professor Offiong Efanga Offiong, to give his opening remarks. This is it.
The Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Administration, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Research, Engage and Collaboration, the registrar, and other principal officers here present. I think the librarian is here. Bossa is still being expected. The provost of colleges here present. Members of the governing council here present. And Professor Emeritus here in our midst. And I want to especially recognize Professor Akpan. He's always here in all. Let me also recognize all the deans of faculty, the inaugural lecturer for the 156th Inaugural Lecture, Professor Akpan. Let me welcome my dear wife, the wife of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Emmanuel Offiong, and all the family of the inaugural lecturer, starting from his dear wife and children, distinguished academics that are here, and other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and our student Malabite and Malabresis. Let me welcome you to the 156th Inaugural Lecture, to be presented by Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan of Department of Management Studies. Have you changed the name of the department? Business Management. He's going to talk to us on strategies, execution, organized war arsenal for consequential boom and doom of the business ecosystem. I know he's going to do a lot of justice to this. As I came into the office as the Vice-Chancellor, I said I had set for me as to drive my vision 12 strategic goals. And somebody asked me one day, what does this mean? And I said, because the vision has to be addressed by strategies. And that I have divided all that I want to do into 12 segments. And I want to see how I can address them through those 12 segments. And he told me, I don't know a manager, and I said that is why they call administration and management for those of us who are sitting up here. So we are all managers. Now the ecosystem here is the University of Calabar. So he's going to tell us about other business ecosystem. Whether it is the one you run your petty shop at home, is business. I hope our lecturer I'm right. The one you run, the POS is business. Whichever business you run is business. But how do you plan so that it will not be doomed? He will tell us today how to prevent doom. But one thing is certain, that a lot of businesses have failed in Nigeria. And often we take it for granted, not knowing the reason why these businesses have failed. And some people will even go to the ridiculous dimension of accusing others as being witches and witchcraft, and being the reason for why their businesses have failed. And sometimes the witchcraft and the witches you think may be yourself because of the poor planning before the execution of the business, the poor strategy you put in place. So please, let's open our mind as the 156th inaugural lecturer takes us through these strategies that will help us. Many of us are preparing for retirement and will be getting into the business world. Some people before have also left this university to go and run their businesses. We want to hear from an expert how to run business that will not be doomed and the one that will be moved. So let me congratulate Professor Akpan and welcome him to give us 156th inaugural lecture of the University of Calabar. Please enjoy your stay while you are here, and at the end take something home about how you'll be able to run a very successful business. You are all welcome.
The chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will now invite Dr. Mrs. Rebecca Oliver Eno to read the citation of the 156th inaugural lecturer, Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan.
The Chairman, the Vice-Chancellor and Chairman of this inaugural lecture, Professor Offiong Efanga Offiong, please permit me to stand on already established protocol. And Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan, stand please. Citation of Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan. It is my utmost pleasure to present and introduce to you on this 21st day of January 2026, the distinguished lecturer and 156th inaugural lecturer, Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan of the Department of Business Management. Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan was born on 25th September 1966 into the family of Chief Isaiah Akpan Eno of Utungubong in Ikoteku village, Okomiya clan, and the late Deaconess Princess Magdalene Okobide of Ikod Obiokoi Okomiya clan, Mparenin local government area, Akwa Ibom State. The young Emmanuel received his primary education at primary school, Itu town, Itu local government area, and his secondary education at Methodist Secondary School, Ete, Ikorabasi local government area, both in Akwa Ibom State. He obtained his BSc and MBA degree from the University of Uyo in 1991 and 2000, respectively, and his PhD from the University of Calabar in 2007. Brimming with intellectual flame and unalloyed passion for the academic calling, Professor Emmanuel secured employment as an assistant lecturer at the University of Calabar in August 2000, where he began his career in teaching, research, and community service. Upon his appointment as head of department in 2006, Emmanuel, without delay, swung into action to drive vigorous academic and administrative progress in the department, despite being surrounded by many retired personnel and only one PhD holder, with a few other junior lecturers. Despite limited resources and the paucity of vital facilities available in the department, Professor Akpan adopted the principle of esprit de corps to harness staff support and secure full accreditation for the business management program. Can we give a round of applause, please? Transforming it from the inherited denied accreditation status. It did not take long for him to enrich business management curriculum by introducing insurance and risk management, as well as BSc seminar in management, thereby boosting students' professional skills for the industry. Professor Emmanuel also inherited several species of students in their thousands who had spent many years in the department and actually making the environment unsafe for both staff and students. As incredible strategists, he introduced a winning strategy by obtaining permission from the Vice-Chancellor, the late Professor B. Asupo, to conduct supplementary examinations for all legitimate extra-year students. This exercise enabled many genuine students to graduate, and non-student species being exposed became uncomfortable, hence resulting to mass exodus from the department. Please come and clap for him. That ingenuity resulted in having a peaceful working environment. The 156th Inaugural Lecturer was reappointed head of the Department of Business Management in the year 2013 by the then Vice-Chancellor, Professor James Epoke. This period marked the beginning of further impactful initiatives. Prior to the reappointment, the PhD program in management was grounded due to shortage of qualified lecturers, causing severe frustration among students, some of whom were academic staff in the department. In less than 2 months of his reappointment, Professor Emmanuel applied strategic innovation by applying for and securing the Vice-Chancellor's approval for the appointment of additional qualified facilitators from the University of Uyo. Please can we clap for him. By so doing, the PhD program was revived and has since been very viable till date. 2 of the beneficiaries from the revived PhD program are here present in this inaugural lecture, one as associate professor and the other as a senior lecturer. Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan has published over 60 articles in reputable international and local journals, attended and presented paper in many international and national conferences. He enjoys global visibility with 325 citations, 6 H index, and 5 I-10 index. Academics in the house, please clap for him. He has won a TED Fund grant for a research project which has successfully been completed with a team of formidable and committed researchers. He is also the author of a book on policy and strategic management. To date, Professor Emmanuel has supervised over 180 undergraduate projects, 100 postgraduate diploma projects, 70 MBA projects, 21 MSc theses, and 19 PhD dissertations to successful completion. Can we clap for that? Some of these persons are currently teaching in the department. The 156 inaugural lecturers' enviable contributions to the University of Calabar have endeared him to many other institutions. Consequently, he has received numerous appointments that have enabled him to render community service, acquire practical experience, and project the good image of the University of Calabar. These include appointment as external examiner for PhD and MSc programs in many universities, external assessor for academic staff promotion to full and associate professor in several universities, appointment by the National University Commission as chairman or member of ad hoc accreditation panel in various universities. Professor Emmanuel, you want to clap now. Professor Emmanuel was the first elected president of Akpabio State Community Association, University of Calabar. Akpabio Mison. Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan is a member of many professional bodies, including Fellow, Institute of Business Diplomacy and Financial Management, Fellow, Institute of Management Consultants, Chartered Management Consultant, Member, Academy of Management Nigeria, Member, European Center for Research, Training and Development, United Kingdom, Associate Member, Nigeria Institute of Management, an associate member, Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. He has also received numerous awards and honors from distinguished bodies and associations. The Vice-Chancellor and Chairman of this occasion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is therefore my greatest pleasure to present to you a man who has walked through the ranks from assistant lecturer to full professor, with specialization in strategic management research and entrepreneurship, a producer of intellectuals from both the academic sphere and industry, an epitome of hard work, integrity, fairness, and probity, a strategic management colossus, the first in the University of Calabar to present a lecture on strategic management. I present to you this day and this assembly of brilliant minds and joyous heart the distinguished 156th Inaugural Lecturer of the University of Calabar, Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan.
My Vice-Chancellor, other protocol of birth, and the Vice-Chancellor is no other person than Professor Offiong Efanga Offiong. Please, can you clap hands for me? It is by his permission and the permission of the group of formidable management team that I'm authorized to come and do this presentation. I think I'll make him proud. My citation reader did a lot of presentation, and that caused me to be tasty. So permit me to drink water. This work is on strategy execution, the organized warfare arsenal for consequential boom and doom of the business ecosystem. And that is the truth. Whether you are a public servant, a lecturer, self-employed, whatever, you are a business person. And you cannot do without picking up a lot of things from this topic. It looks vast, looks threatening. The boom, the doom, Arsenal, is it the one that they play internationally? No, Arsenal is English word. That team decided to attach that to its name, Arsenal. Arsenal actually has to do with the accumulation of military weapons and the armies that could be used against the opposition group. In this case, strategies execution has to do with accumulation of strategies by business organizations. I want to introduce this topic so that we can flow together. Am I correct? So that we can flow on the same page. Strategies accumulation is a thing, the responsibility of management of organizations. Developing relevant strategies and accumulating them, the war arsenal, accumulating them so that at appropriate time they can launch out each of them or even a combination of strategies because of what the organization wants to achieve. That is strategy execution, exploration, or implementation, as you may see in management books. That strategy is the accumulation there is at this point in time regarded as organized war what? Arsenal. Today I'm your lecturer. You have to answer questions, but you have no right to ask me any question. Okay. As the business organizations have accumulated strategies that they will launch out at appropriate time in the market environment, in the industry, Those strategies, especially as government does not show much concern about regulating the way organizations launch out, implement, execute these strategies, some organizations go extra miles to do whatever they like. But in which case, the primary objective of using the strategies is to achieve set goals for companies to remain competitive advantage and make as much profit as, yes. So, as that is done, these strategies that are being executed have two effects. They boom, let's start with the boom. It has the effect of having a positive impact on the business world, the business ecosystem, the parties that constitute the business ecosystem. It has relevant impact on individual firms. It has individual impact on the economy of any country. That is the what? The boom. Please, it's not a new word. We've heard about this boom. It's about 3 or 4 decades ago, the oil boom in Nigeria. And some of you were not born, but those of us who were born, we heard it. The oil boom. Because of war somewhere, much effort was channeled towards buying oil from Nigeria, and Nigeria made a lot of money, and that's when we come to hear that the problem of Nigeria was how to do what? How to spend money because of the oil boom. So boom represents the good aspects of the strategy in this case. While the doom talks about the effect of strategy, negative effect of strategy to individual firms and to the business ecosystem, of course, the economy as a whole. I think we have explained for proper elucidation the meaning of that topic. All right. Dedication. This lecture is dedicated to God Almighty, the giver of life, knowledge, and wisdom, and to my beloved family, teachers, and sincere friends. Not every friend, anyway, sorry. The protocol. The respected Vice-Chancellor of this university, in the person of Professor Offiong Efanga Offiong, members of the University Governing Council here present, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Administration, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Research Linkages and Collaborations, the Registrar, the University Librarian, the Bursar, Provost, College of Medical Sciences, Provost College of Postgraduate Studies, Provost College of Education, Dean, Faculty of Administration and Management Sciences, the Deans of other faculties, and the Deans of Student Affairs. Professors, heads of department include business management, who is the colossus today. Professors, heads of department, that of business management, members of the University Senate, other members of staff of the university, academic and non-teaching, members of my family, my students, past and present, other invited guests, gentlemen and women of the press, great Malabites and Malabraces, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Preambles cum rationale for the lecture. Research ingenuity and creativity remains critical drivers of national and economic development. Strategies provide a powerful framework for transforming organizations and societies. This lecture reflects my sustained engagements with strategic thinking and practice. My motivation is deeply rooted in my MBA training in business policy and strategy. Long-standing teaching and research experience further shaped my insight shared today, that we are going to share today as an expert so that you will learn. I was appointed as an assistant lecturer at the University of Calabar in the year 2000. I have consistently taught courses in business policy, strategy, and research methods, among others. Over 2 decades, I have actively engaged in teaching, research, and community service. This inaugural lecture represents a formal expression of giving back to the university because I've gained so much from the University of Calabar. Please, can you clap hand for University of Calabar? Introduction, stroke, origin of business. We are going to do a lot of biblical, we bring Bible into play, so that sometimes you did not know that I am an unordained pastor. You see, how did business start? Business has been there before the birth of Jesus Christ. But how did it start? The pre-business era, the era before business started, so that we can flow the same way. Jesus came, his father, Jehovah, God, appeared in the Garden of Eden after creating Adam and Eve. He showed them everything in the garden. That time there was no business, because God who created them provided everything they needed in life. But he warned them, see that tree in the middle of the garden? Do not do what? Eat of it. But the truancy of human beings, which God must forgive them. As God left a little bit, Satan, not Satan per se, the serpent appeared in the garden and convinced Eve. I don't know why he didn't start with Adam, because I'm sure you know how hard men are. In fact, Adam would have looked for Cain or stick and kill it. But he went to women, but I'm not saying women are weaker souls. So went to Eve. I say, Eve, I'm not only convincing you to eat this fruit obtained from the middle of the garden, I'm convincing you to eat, and also convince your husband to eat. You become clearer, you become wiser. Limitless knowledge you will acquire. What did Eve do? Eve, after eating, to the husband said, honey, child, if you eat of this fruit, you will be a different man. Eve said, sweetheart, we have to, it's not our fault to love our wives and do what they tell us to do. It has happened right from time. He collected the thing and ate. After eating, they realized themselves as being naked. Even as as God, the Creator, came to the farm, to the garden, they all ran because they realized they were naked. Ran somewhere. He said, Adam, Eve, where are you? They said, sir, you must have eaten of that fruit from the middle of the garden. Adam says, sir, not me, is this woman that you gave me? Then God turned to Eve. Eve says, sir, I wouldn't have eaten, is this serpent that convinced me? So that is the situation. And then what happened? God told them, all of them, including the serpents to quit, and with curses upon them. And as they left, struggling started. The era of struggling started, where they have to struggle. And of course, they were expanding in terms of population to a stage that business started coming up in informal ways. That is how, when business started, when God had driven these people from where they were having their food free of charge. So, then from there onward, businesses started coming up, right from the era of one-man shop, small businesses, and so on and so forth. Therefore, until about the 18th century, during the great industrial revolution that took place in Britain, where business scope started enlarging, that was the cradle of the manufacturing of big things and so on and so forth, and an extent that we have large-scale business operations. Then, what is this business? Business has to do with the creation of goods and services, or goods or rendering of services that have value and able to satisfy the society. That is business in a synopsis. Anything that is done by human beings, by people, that leads to creation of goods or rendering of services that satisfies the need of the society, that is business. The taxonomies of business. Business could be divided into private or public. Private businesses are those businesses that are owned by private individuals, private investors, or private groups. Private groups with an objective that includes making a profit as well as maximizing profits. Whereas the public businesses are those businesses or enterprises that are owned, managed, and operated by the government or its agencies. The capital is generated primarily from the taxpayers' fund, and they are not expected to strive to maximize profit in the real sense. But they can produce, they can make profits, produce what people will want, the citizenry will want, and then not gearing towards maximizing profit. They can make profit just to the extent of being able to take care of the costs of operations of that organization. Business can also be looked at from the perspective of profit-driven and non-profit-driven organizations. In the case of profit-driven organizations, there are businesses that are strictly established, owned, operated in such a way that the owners, the investors, intend to make and maximize profit. Whereas non-profit organizations, non-profit-driven organizations are those organizations that the objective is not to make any profit. Example are the NGOs, maybe for charity or for some other goal that nothing is connected with profit-driven. I mean profit maximization or profit making. Goals and objectives. The goals of organization, even the objectives, talks about the intention of the investors of this business, what the business stands for, what is aiming at achieving are both goals and objectives. The difference is that in the case of goals, the management, the owners of the of organization, displays goals, what they intend to achieve. Goals are generic and broader in sense and takes longer time horizon to realize more than objectives, which are specific intentions of the owners, what they want to achieve in that business engagement. And objectives are very specific. They are measurable. They don't take longer time. It could be our goal is to attract 20 more customers within 1 week. Very specific, and it could be measured to see within 1 week if the organization had achieved that. Business and environment. Business does not operate in a vacuum. They don't exist in the air or in the sky. Businesses exist in the environment. And there's a relationship between business and environment to really buttress the kind of relationship. None can exist without the other. The business gains from environment. It obtains its inputs, raw materials, tools, technology, every other thing from the environment. And environment can, in fact, after transforming those inputs into products or services, they also depend on the environment for patronage so that they can make their profits. Therefore, the relationship between business and environment is potestative, is symbiotic in nature. This one gains from this one gains from this. Concept of environment. The business environment consists of internal and external forces that influence the organization. In strict business sense, when a manager defines what business is all about, when a manager defines what environment is all about, he will not tell you environment is this. He will tell you first, environment is divided into two, the internal environment and the external environment. Then in the case of internal environment has to do with those variables, those factors and elements that are controllable by management of any given organization. Some people make mistakes saying that internal environment is made up of the internal factors, all the factors that are present that are within an organization. That is wrong. No, it goes beyond that. In fact, let me not say it's totally wrong, just a little of it. When we are talking about internal environment, we are looking at all the variables, factors, and forces that are controllable by an organization. I can tell you that University of Calabar is an organization. The internal environment of the University of Calabar is not only restricted to things that are found within the University of Calabar. University of Calabar has quarters at the Curinum. It has quarters at housing, right? State housing. It has liaison office in Abuja. They are part of the internal factors of University of Calabar because University of Calabar management has every capacity to control them. I hope you've understood me. Yes. That is what happens in an organization. And when you are dealing with the internal factors of any organization, you are looking at all of those things that management have control over. And when you look at each of them, as you can see, the strategies, the policies, the leadership styles, the workforce, and so on and so forth. There are some of the factors that are that are owned, that constitutes internal factors of an organization, which management has control. It wants to look at the workers. Do we have enough workers? or not? If we don't have enough workers, how does management control? It can train people, it can recruit, it can do one or two things. Every other factor, if policy of the organization is not very good, which shows weakness for the part of that organization, if management can redevelop the policies and strategies that will work well for the organization, and that is a control. If management, like the University of Calabar management, is not conversant with the liaison office in Abuja, the way things are, it can restructure and do things. It can, deploy workers. It can train. It can even lease out the place. Yes, because it has control. Okay. Then, what is the essence of analyzing the internal factors of an organization? Is to check each and every one of them to see which one does the organization score itself strong, which aspect is weak. Any aspect that is weak, management can do something about it, because if the internal factors are weak, all round weak, it will not withstand the changes in the external environment, because they all have influence on the management. Then let's go to the external factors. External environment comprises of all the forces, factors, elements that are outside the control of management of any one organization. Yet, every factor in external environment has influence on the decision and action of management of every organization. Whether your company likes it or not, it is affected by what is going on in the external environment. External environmental factors are very dynamic in nature. Things change from time to time. When we were born, if they bring the kind of technology that was there, you will be surprised. The player that they used to do to play music, if you see, if our children see it now, they can even run away. Because the thing will start turning, the children will say, I can shock. Things change. The competition, every factor within the external environment change. And why is it necessary for a manager to keep pace with what is happening in the external environment? Is to know, so as to know what decision to take, so as not to be left behind, but to cope with the society. Because without the environment, organization cannot survive. In the external environment, you have a lot of factors. The competitive factors, which form a very great component of our lecture today. The competitive factor has to do with how many firms, all the firms that are producing and marketing the similar goods to similar market, to the same market. That is the competitive factor. If only one firm constitutes an industry, produces what people are looking for and selling to, then that is no competition. It means that's what do you call it? The monopolistic environment. If one company produces what people want, it means it can increase price and make profit as it likes, since people will still buy. But in a competitive situation, which is part of the external factors, many organizations produce the same thing. Please, you understand. Different organizations producing similar goods and services and marketing them and targeting the similar market. That's competition. Okay, other external factors include the technology. What is technology? The methods and techniques in the production and marketing of goods. That is just the technology. And why are they interested in technology? Because they want to achieve what is called increased efficiency. The situation where cost is saved. And when you save cost of production, you stand a chance in a competitive environment to even bring down price and attract customers from others and make more profit. But if you use a technology that is not good, it means you slow down the pace of production, you spend so much, cost will increase, efficiency will reduce, and in the competitive situation, you cannot even use price reduction strategy, because any attempt to do that, you will not cover costs and you run at a loss. All right, we have the political factor in the external environment. Political factors has to do with the decisions and actions taken by political leaders, be it at the local, state, or federal level. How does it affect business? Yes, the political leaders can increase price of, the new government can come and decide to increase price of, taxes levied on companies. It will affect the company's profitability. And that will be regarded as threats to the organization. But a situation where new government comes, reduces the price and the taxes payable by firms will be happy because they will make more profit. And that will become what opportunities to organizations. It goes beyond that for want of time. Then there are other external factors, importantly the economic factors. Economic factors, there are many variables that constitute economic factors or that have economic implications on organizations. Like the exchange rate is part of economic factors. You can see as of now what is happening with our naira. You carry 100,000 naira, it is nothing due to inflation. And inflation is characterized by high rising prices of goods, services, and even other things like the raw materials used by companies. And if companies, every company, every organization, small or big, is affected by it, and they can do nothing about it since it is not a controllable factor. You need to spend so much to be able to get goods if you are a manufacturer investor that imports or depends on a material from United States of America. So you can see what is happening. For an investor in Nigeria to get tools, raw materials, or equipment from United States of America, you need to spend so much money to get even very little thing from there. And when it comes, that will increase the cost of production and it will affect the pricing policy of the firm. Unemployment, high-level unemployment is part of the economic factors because it has implications. A situation where in a country, only a smaller unit of the population is productive. The populace, the large majority of the population is unemployed. One, the GDP, the gross domestic product of that company will be negatively affected, will be reduced. Because few people cannot produce what goes from a population like that of Nigeria. They can't produce enough. And what will happen, the economic implication is that many, to balance up, the government will decide to import some of those things that are needed in the country by the people and even by the firm. And that means that a lot of foreign exchange is leaving the country. Then, apart from that, the economic implication of high-level unemployment is that those people, man must work. Few are producing. The other group, they will not stay hungry. They will still eat. And how will they eat? They resort to criminality, kidnapping, assassination, this and that, and so on and so forth. And it can go up to a dimension that will affect the productivity of organizations. Because you cannot hear that kidnappers are there, even if you are the manager, you go to work in that place. You hide, and you're saying, are they there? Even you cannot go out to buy, you the buyers, the consumers, because you might be kidnapped along the line. That's the economic implication, part of the economic implication. Now, environmental variables. I've talked about that. The sociocultural and the rest of them. Please, you can see some of them from from the lecture materials that are with you. The competition, we have talked about that. Strategy as a war arsenal, yes, we have seen. The strategy as a war arsenal. Strategies is like keeping missiles, AK-47, all the weapons and so on, putting them at the arsenal and waiting for enemies and how to fight and launch out and destroy the enemies and win the battle. But in the business perspective, strategy is something that organization investors are using to gain competitive advantage and make more profit in their businesses. So that means that each and every company will design different strategies that they will use at appropriate time in order to achieve what they want to achieve. Origin and evolution of strategy. This strategy we are hearing about was not used by any other sector. It was used in the military. It started in the language of the military, from cradle, from origin. And in strategy is, in Greek way, refers to the strategos, which means the art of generalship. And generalship is commonly held in the military. The person who directs the course, where to go, what weapon to use at any point in time. The military perspective of strategy, as we have said, as you can look at and even see in the book, the military perspective of strategy is to design, develop, structure, use weapons, because all they want to defeat the others, kill, destroy, cut the neck, destroy the eye, maim the person. And when you do that to a greater number of the opposite military, what will happen? The remaining one will say, please, we surrender, take over, and they will win. But in the business, strategy is not used like that. But I want to tell you as a strategist that strategy in business is to kill other people. Whether it is owned by your uncle out there in the open market, you want to do better than the person. And if you do better, you use strategies and draw all the customers from that person. How will that be a cousin who owns the other competing business? How will he survive? He will go down and say, cousin, don't worry, I will be giving you small thing. Okay. That is in business perspective. It is not to kill and shed blood, but it will kill business and shed business blood and does not kill. That is how strategies are used in business. Then perspectives of strategy. Business perspective of strategy. Of course, strategy, in the strict and technical point of view, strategy has to do with harnessing the resources of organization by management and deploying them, distributing them to individuals, groups, and departments in an organization with the sole aim of achieving objectives and goals of an organization. That is strategy. Strategy has to do with harnessing the resources and distributing those resources to individuals, groups, and departments in such a way that will lead to achievement of goals. And strategy, the resources, it could be financial resources. There's no strategy that you use that will not involve finance in the company, that will not involve human resources, informational resources, and what have you, distributing them and telling them how to use them so that a firm can do better, can gain competitive advantage and weigh others. Then these strategies have the various characteristics. What do we mean by that? It's not every strategy that could be considered strategy, but those ones that possess this kind of features could be called effective strategies. And we are not going to waste time with this. One of them is it should be clearly linked with the objective Any strategy organization wants to adopt should be linked with the objective. Any strategy that does not have bearing with the objectives of the firm is a fiasco, is a failure, it's not a strategy. It is feasible within available resources. Organizations cannot go for a strategy that is even more expensive than the capital base of the firm. A firm, a salon that is with a capital base of 50,000 at home and abroad cannot go to adopt a strategy that costs 1 million naira. And it should be practicable. A strategy should be such that people can clearly understand and then be able to use them. Please, we can see others. Then strategy is of great importance of strategy. It provides clear direction of organizational focus. When the organization says this is a strategy we are using, everybody, every activity is geared towards the direction of that strategy so as to achieve set goals. It coordinates activities. It makes individual managers, the stakeholders, the workers to be able to be systematic, innovative, not to go the way they want arbitrarily. From my own perspective, you do like this, it will yield what we want. No, makes them creative and very systematic in the approach. Core competitive, please. We cannot, settle our lecture without knowing one or two types of strategies. Strategies that organizations adopt are numerous, and they use them when it is necessary to use each and every one of them. Sometimes they even combine some strategies and use because of what they want to achieve. This set is core competitive strategies. The core competitive strategies include cost leadership strategies. What is cost leadership strategies? Organizations trying to bring down the cost of operation as low as possible. You know what? If you bring down the cost of operations of your firm, you save a lot of costs. You stand a chance in a competitive environment. You stand a chance of even reducing the price of your product more than those who did not mind the cost of operations of the company. I think a lot of companies that at the end of the year, they send management staff, some of their managers to some city hotels in South Africa or to Las Vegas in the United States and so on. Go with your wife and 4 children and so on and so forth. Stay there for 1 month and come back. A lot have pushed that aside. What do they want to do? They're applying cost-saving strategy. They want to reduce cost so that they will be able to play with price when it is necessary. Okay. Like somebody selling groundnut. You want to buy to fry 10 cups of groundnut at 10,000 naira, including costs, including rent and electricity and all of that. 10,000 naira, 10 cups of groundnut. And the business that is doing that has succeeded in using within 10,000 as cost of operation and is able to finish selling the 10 cups of groundnut in a day. This in management, that is called effectiveness. The company had been so effective. But to a manager, effectiveness is not enough. Another thing that a manager looks at is efficiency. At the end of it, I've sold the 10 cups of groundnut. After spending 10,000 naira, how much have I realized from it? Oh, I've realized 15,000. I've realized 20,000. That means that's the question of efficiency, juxtaposing cost with the input, with the revenue. I hope that's understood. So, then some firms use differentiation strategies. Differentiation strategies has to do with every attempt and effort of the company to make their goods distinctive and unique from what other competitors are putting up in the market, because that differentiation can be the source of attraction to people, making people patronize your good. One of the ways of differentiating your goods could be by making your quality very outstanding. Even packaging, the design. Some women some men, will go for perfume. Perfume is very good in this. They make they design the bottle in such a way that even after exhausting the perfume, you cannot throw away. You put it at the corner of the house and so on. Then the growth strategy, this deals with strategies organizations adopt to, by way of expansion. First Bank, Zenith Bank, Crunches, certain eateries are rich in this. How do they grow? They can grow in terms of geographic location. First Bank that started at Calabar Road are found in different places within Calabar. Am I correct? Eateries like the Crunches, the same thing. That is part of the growth strategy. Market segmentation. That has to do with some companies taking up the strategy of segmentation. What does that mean? Instead of company trying to produce things that will please everybody in the society, they choose a particular segment and deal with it. And deal with it. Particular segment. Instead of producing for men, women, the adults, the youth, the babies, some companies just choose to focus attention on how to effectively satisfy a segment of the market. Boost in children's things, mother care, you are familiar with it. They don't produce things for everybody, but for children or babies. Broad strategies, corporate strategies define overall. This is some of the broad strategies, integration strategies that focus on controlling stages of value chain. Some companies, instead of after producing the goods, they ensure that those goods get to the market without involving intermediaries, distributors, and so on. They can acquire their vans, employ drivers, and so on from factory. They take goods to where it could be accessed or accessible by the customers. The market strategies emphasize expansion with existing or new markets. Some firms use strategies of diversification. Diversification in this context has to do with not carrying all eggs in one basket. I'm producing wheat. People know me as wheat producer. But let me add some other business, do some other business in addition, so that I may not depend on one source of income. In case something happens with this sector, I can still make money from the other sector. That is diversification. And there are many types of diversification. Integration strategy. Forward integration involves moving closer to the final consumers, like producing and sending the goods to the Coca-Cola was using it. They had a lot of trucks. After producing, they moved to different territories, their Coca-Cola product. Then the backward integration, source controlling the source of raw materials. If you're a company, you know that suppliers of raw materials will disappoint you. Some firms venture into even supplying the things, the major inputs that they use in their production. Like somebody that is producing blocks now begin to store cement as well, so that suppliers may not disappoint him or her. And so they can even sell some cement to others and make profit from that transaction, and also make use of it without depending on others. The backward integration strategy has to do with controlling the source of raw materials that we had explained before. Horizontal integration has to do with the one, maybe somebody that was operating a shoe making firm, acquiring, buying another shoe making firm, so that they don't spend time to fight, rival among themselves, compete. But I see say you are not doing too well. If you want to sell, I can buy you, so that I can even use this company and do some other thing. Shoe business, acquiring another shoe business. This kind of thing called integration strategy. Then market penetration increases sales. With market development strategy involves entering new markets. You were selling, depending on Calabar market, you can enter Akpabio market, produce your goods here, sell here, and ship some to those other places. Then product development, adding new products to your line of business, so that you don't depend on only one type of business. Rely on leveraging and so on. Please, we get some concentric diversification, adding related product to service, producing shoes, and now also producing polish that are related, so that people will buy shoes, people will buy this one, buy a polish, and so on. Then conglomerate diversification entails entering unrelated industries. You were producing wheat, and now you also diversify into adding another line of business, the petroleum, just as what we can see Dangote doing. They belong to different petroleum. It's a petroleum industry. This one is in hospitality industry, the wheat, the food. Then other strategic options are the joint ventures, where you join with another. Instead of competing, fighting among themselves, you group yourself and bring up together and share profit, share cost, and share risk. Then the retrenchment involves reducing operations to stabilize performance. We have the company in the oil sector, company that was producing, exploring oil, petroleum, and even exporting, also having filling stations. You have that in Mobile, you have that in certain other oil companies. Now saying that, for us to even bring out oil, export, do this, and then we also run filling station, that is enough distraction. Let's sell out the filling station, and that is why you have the MRS that is just dealing with that. They've just bought that from oil company and be running it, so that those oil companies can concentrate with what they can do best and achieve more profit. So when we go on, we see them on and on and on. Forms of cooperative, forms of strategies. We can divide strategies into cooperative strategies and non-cooperative or diversification, competitive strategies. The cooperative strategies are every form of strategies that involves either acquisition, mergers. Let's not fight ourselves as separate companies fighting ourselves. Let's come together. We can come together and join and do this business. Or if you cannot, sell it, let me take. That is acquisition strategy. Then apart from that, all other strategies are the competitive strategies. Compete as you like. I will also compete as I like, and we will see who will win. Then strategic roles of the 4 Ps. The organizations also adopt the 4 Ps of marketing. That is the controllable variables for the organization. The product, the price, the promotion, and the place. The product has to do with organization doing everything they could to, make the product unique in terms of the art, the size, in terms of color, in terms of branding, in terms of this, in terms of that concerns even quality and quantity. Then in the case of price, organization can adopt, if it wants to win more customers, it can make a product more unique. It can even add more colors. It can rebrand the product. That is the case of product. But in the case of price, companies can adopt pricing policies or strategies to win additional customers. It can reduce the price of the goods to attract more customers. Then, in the case of place, that is distribution. Companies making effort, knowing that if it waits for people to come all the way from Aba to come and buy, that they will lose market. They can do what? They can even produce, whether in Calabar, and ship their goods to Aba or to other places where they can have, the customers can have access to. Then promotion has to do with communicating the value of the goods to target market. If the customers do not know the value attached to a product, they may see and pass and may not buy. When hypo came, they used promotion. It can even come to where people are building house and go down, begin to talk, show those things, and sometimes give part as free. And after using, you yourself will go to the shop and ask for it. Then, these are some of the things that could be used as additional strategy. The pricing approaches, so you can read of. Approaches could be cost. Because of cost, you fix your price. It could be because of demand expectation. In rainy season, more people will need umbrella. You produce more and you fix the price based on that, knowing people will need it, and other things like that. The strategic management process, we have to bring it in, because strategy execution is an aspect of strategic management. It has to do with all the things that management does to manage the strategies used. And strategic management deals with knowing the goals, determining the goals of an organization, and then analyzing the environment, the external and internal environment which we dealt with. And that is, in business, we call it SWOT analysis. After analyzing the inside of the company and the outside of the company, then management should be able to know what strategy to develop. That is strategy formulation. After formulating the strategy, you will not know whether it is good or not. You have to implement it. It is after implementing it, and then you control the strategy evaluation and control. That is checking the progress made since applying that strategy. Has it led to more, achieving the goals as envisaged or not? Mission and objectives and goals, we talked about it. Implementation, strategy implementation and control. That is, I've just explained that. Business ecosystem, all the relevant stakeholders that constitute the business ecosystem, the partners, the customers, competitors, suppliers, regulators, that is the government agencies, and what have you, constitutes that. Positive effect of strategy, execution, the boom. Now we want to see the good aspect of implementing the strategies, because the way strategies are implemented can result in the boom. That is the good aspect to individual companies and to the ecosystem. And when you read up, you see a good number of them. Effective strategy leads to companies being able to make more profit, securing competitive advantage over others, and being able to survive, to sustain. If employment will come. They survive company will employ and pay. Then the doom. The negative aspect of strategy execution, which you will see when you read about it. In fact, some strategies, depending on how it is applied, can kill certain other companies that were essential. Some companies that adopt the strategy of through globalization, bringing in their goods and saturating our market, especially from China, it has even killed a lot of firms here in Nigeria. They can no longer survive, and by the time they lay off the workers, they go to saturate the labor market again, rebranching off into insecurity, criminality, and what have you. Conclusion: strategy execution functions as double-edged sword. Like we have said, the good and the bad, that is the boom and the doom. Recommendations: regulatory oversight should guide against competitive practices, legal competitive practices, because some firms hide somewhere and adopt bad strategies, which is killing individual organizations, even the customers. Contribution to knowledge, research and publications. I have presented research papers at several local and international academic conferences. I've published over 60 articles in reputable international and national professional and institutional journals. My publications have attracted 325 citations on Google Scholar with an H index of 6 and I-10 index of 5. I have authored a textbook, Strategy, Business Policy and Strategic Management. I serve as a team leader for TED Fund-sponsored research projects, which we have successfully completed and sent to TED Fund through our respected University of Calabar. Administrative and leadership. I served as head of Department of Business Management from 2006 to 2008 and from 2013 to 2015. I introduced BSc seminar course, and even risk management and insurance in business management, which was not there in the curriculum. I reactivated the suspended PhD program during my first tenure as head of department, and that we have operated the PhD program. We've turned out several doctors beyond University of Calabar, and we have so many that I trained in the Department of Business Management. I have served as chairman and member of several departmental committees. I served as examination officer and academic advisor for BSc program from 2000, the year I was employed. They saw me as a capable hand up to the year 2006, when I became the head of department first time. I served as examination officer for postgraduate diploma in management 2004-2006. I was coordinator of the postgraduate diploma in management from 2008 to 2010. I have chaired multiple faculty committees, including result vetting, accreditation, quality assurance, etc., and etc. I have served as chairman for graduate disciplinary MBA, MSc, and PhD program committees, national and external academic engagement, which have been boosting the name and the image of the University of Calabar. I have been appointed by the National Universities Commission as chairman in several locations and as member in several locations for accreditation panels all over the still region in this country that have not been sent. I have served as external examiner for PhD and MSc programs in several universities, including Unical, University of Uyo, Benue State University, Babcock University, to name but a few. I have served as external assessor that have assessed so many people on professorial positions full professor, associate professor. I have done so much for this nation. Then community service. I serve as president of the first elected president of Akpabio State Community Association, not nominated, but elected. Please note. Teaching and supervision. I have taught core management and business administration courses at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. I have supervised over 180 undergraduate projects, completed 180, and I have supervised over 100 undergraduate and 100 postgraduate diploma in management, completed. I have supervised 70 MBA projects, completed. 21 MSc thesis, completed. 19 PhD dissertations, completed. And one of them, I have seen one of them here, who is, many of them, not one. Then, professional growth and impact. My uninterrupted progression from assistant lecturer to professor reflects my commitment to research excellence and dedicated services. Acknowledgement. I give all glory and thanks to the Almighty God for the knowledge that He has given to me. Tribute to parents. I honor the memory of my late father and my late mother for their sacrifice towards my education. I remain eternally grateful to my parents, for denying themselves. Real parents, especially real. So kudos to women. My father tried so much. He was a civil servant like me. Sometimes they will owe him. I give him the credit as well. So I wish they were here to witness this great academic feast. Early education and mentorship. I sincerely appreciate my teachers in Itu Primary School, the Methodist Secondary School, later. I am particularly grateful to Professor B.J. Inyang. Please, you can stand up if you are here. For his mentorship of my PhD lecture, I was my PhD lecturer and my supervisor, the producer of the Colossus Akpan, among others. Family appreciation. I am profoundly indebted to my children, Woodley, Tieno, Magdalene, Ukemebas, and all my beloved ones and their mothers who are here present. Antonia, Emmanuel Akpan, and Favor, Emmanuel Akpan. I am deeply indebted to my cousins, Professor Akana. I don't know if he's here, for my career path. Church, I appreciate the prayers and spiritual support of the Deputy Field Superintendent, pastors, elders, officers, and members of the Apostolic Church. Friends, I sincerely thank my friends from Uyang for their enduring friendship and fraternal coexistence. I pray that God's peace, blessings, and grace continue to abide, to be with them for the entire community, I sincerely thank all of you for your attention and progress. You have taken my time. I also appreciate the University of Calabar, the great university, none of its kind. If you tell somebody you are from the University of Calabar, you are wonderful. Please, even if you have PhD from elsewhere, please try and do even a diploma from University of Calabar. Please, I have, because of shortness of time, my dear Vice-Chancellor, Professor Offiong Efanga Offiong. Please, if you could give me in less than 5 minutes, I will acknowledge people here. They have been so much for me. I've seen Iyoyoko, High Chief Iyoyoko. He is here, he has been here. Please, can you just wave the public? Iyoyoko. I've seen her. I have, in fact, the first category of person must include my associate professor, Mrs. Rebecca Enoa, my citation reader. Dr. Sunday Ene, the credible head of Department of Business Management. My cousin, Professor Emmanuel, I'm sure something is critically wrong. In-laws, Professor and Dr. Mrs. E.E. Williams, please can you wave the masses. Brother-in-law, Mr. Mark Uloji, and his friends that have flown in for these papers. Right Honorable Dr. Daniel Akpan, Chairman, Bulk Purchase. Please can you wave. He's not only in the political class, we train him from University of Calabar and he's making great impact. He passed a House of Assembly, past chairman, past National Assembly, past this and that, and present Bulk Purchase. Please give him a round of applause. Then High Chief Yoyoko, Professor Basi, the mighty Dean of Faculty of Administration and Management Sciences. Mr. Abu Innocent, the MD Honesty Global Services. Ms. Modeline Emmanuel Akpan, the MD. Stand up please for recognition. You are not only the MD of M Luxury Perfection Company, Lagos. She's a copper. She's an MD. When I talk about an MD, I'm not talking about somebody with capital base of less than 50 million. That is completed. She's just 22 years. I do the training,
one of them,
but she does the practice. And so many others.
I mean, many of them, not one.
Pastor Enya, Pastor William, Elfreda Asuko, the GM of Zenith Bank, please wave the public. Eje Tekanen, GM of Globus Bank, please wave the public. Austin Olugo, Manager First Bank, please wave the public. And Glory Basir, co-chairman of this inaugural lecture. Catherine Ogban, the anchor point of this inaugural lecture. All heads of department, chairman, student, PhD 2, business management for their support. PhD 2, Unical, their support. And past students of 2005 session. Please, you are too numerous to be mentioned. I love you all. May God bless you for your support. Thank you.
Rise up and celebrate our inaugural lecturer, the boom and the doom. Well done, sir. You have landed finally. Congratulations again. Please may we be seated. The boom and the doom effects of unrestricted strategy, execution, and deployment on business ecosystem. I heard that in business you have to kill and kill and kill and kill. So that you will survive, and then when your brother comes, you tell him, brother, don't worry, I will keep you small. May God help us in Jesus' name. Amen. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me again to invite the Vice-Chancellor and Chairman of this occasion, Professor Offiong Efanga Offiong, to step forward for presentation of the lecture notes by the inaugural lecturer and appreciation of the lecturer by the exchange of memento.
Thank you, my Vice-Chancellor. You've done it well. It is by the grace of God that I present this today and under your administration. I want to tell you, I am the first inaugural lecture in the year 2026, courtesy of my Vice-Chancellor, Professor Offiong Efanga Offiong. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan, the 156th Inaugural Lecturer, will present to you the memento in recognition of your role and in remembrance of this day that you have told us what has been your contribution to the University of Calabar and indeed to the academic community. And we want to wish you many more years of fruitful service in academic and for humanity. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Let me at this point invite the Chairman, Committee of Deans, Professor Emmanuel, to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Professor Akpan, for that fine lecture. I enjoyed it. But my takeaway from the lecture is that you submitted that because of structural rigidities inherent in business cycle, created by politics, economics, and the vagaries of demand and supply, if companies or firms want to remain afloat, they need to innovate and develop strategies that make them competitive. And you mentioned 3 strategies: cost initiative, product differentiation, and other strategies that may lead to product diversification because of seasonal changes in demand. In the cost structure, which is very important in making firms to be competitive, we're moving away from L-shaped curve, from U-shaped curve to L-shaped curve, because firms who remain on L-shaped curve continues to enjoy economies of scale and produce below the average cost curve. And therefore, they will be competitive and be able to navigate the business cycle that can change the focus of the firm. And then you talk about product differentiation, which can be developed into clusters, that the amount of product differentiation can determine the price, and the lower the price in the cluster, you remain competitive. And then these other strategies, you talk about trying to develop products, diversify your product base, so that they can take advantage of the vagaries of demand. Thank you very much for your fine lecture. And that is part of the things I took home. Thank you, the Vice-Chancellor. Despite their busy schedule, you find time to be here and maintain the steam. The DVCs, DVC Academic, DVC Research and Linkages, DVC Administration, the Librarian, the Registrar, the Provost of College, Postgraduate College, the Provost of College of Education, our dear mother, Professor Akpabio, who is always here. And let me especially recognize the wife of the Vice-Chancellor, who is also a professor of serious in the Faculty of Administration and Management. Welcome back. We hope to see you in all the inaugural lecture. We recognize all the deans who are here, especially the Dean of Administration, and also the head of department of the inaugural lecturer. All the Senate members who are here, and all the heads of department, all those who have robed, you are warmly welcome. We thank you for your patience. And then the reggae masters. I've seen you well dressed, and your inaugural lecturer friends, and the rest who have come here. The inaugural lecturer's wife, thank you, ma, for providing the environment for the inaugural lecture to navigate his journey in the University of Calabar. And that's why he was able to deeply appreciate the university for giving him the opportunity to be what he is today. The children and friends who are here, the CEO, maybe later we'll ask you for some briefing on your CEOship. The VC's entourage who are here, the PAs, the development division who are here, the director, I saw him, the protocol, all those who followed the VC's entourage here, we appreciate all of you. The information unit, thank you very much for coming, and God bless all of you. Please, next week, Wednesday, we have another inaugural lecturer, and the inaugural lecturer is seated here. We are diversing from business to nursing science. So come and hear how nurses operate. Thank you very much.
As we come to the end of this exercise, please permit me once again to call on the Vice-Chancellor and Chairman of this occasion to make his closing remarks.
The Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Administration, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Research, Engage and Collaboration, the Registrar, and other principal officers here present, members of the Governing Council, Emeritus Professor, and Provost of colleges here present, and let me also recognize Professor Mrs. Offiong. So I hope you are not only going to grace inaugural lecture from management science. So we look forward to seeing you many more inaugural lecture. The inaugural lecturer, Professor Emmanuel Isaiah Akpan, and the family are here. Welcome you and all the friends and the relations of the inaugural lecturer, professors and other academic staff here, ladies and gentlemen, our dear students, Malabites and Malabreses, and the press who have been covering this inaugural lecture from the beginning to this point. I'd like to thank you, and all others who have come to listen to this lecture. My remark will be very brief because we're already supposed to be in another meeting now. But for the fact that we didn't start this inaugural lecture early. But it's important to acknowledge that Professor Akpan, the 156th inaugural lecture, has been a very close friend of mine. I was wondering why you are now clapping, whether it's not normal to be friends in DC. My friendship with him is not just because we've known ourselves for many years in this university, but I've known him as one who is a stickler for integrity. That is what I look forward to. And we have also learned of his numerous contributions to the growth of the university, particularly the business management department. I believe that if all of us also put effort in growing our departments and all the units we are involved, then the University of Calabar truly will become great. I've seen and I've been part of some of the testament of his manpower development, his contribution in training a lot of people. I've seen some of them here that I know, and I want to welcome you all. So it's not enough that you pass through this institution, so we want to also invite you to associate with the alumni activity of this university. We want you to give back to your alma mater, and either at the level of the department or your faculty or the university. So please keep coming. Don't just stop coming because your lecturer is not the one presenting. We want to recognize the community of alumni in all our inaugural lecture. Let me also congratulate and appreciate Professor Akpan. Often when I sit to hear about contribution to the university, one of the things I look forward to hear is how is your research impacting on this university. Nowadays we talk about feasibility and we talk about ranking. And recently Times Magazine has invited us to make our input for the ranking of universities for 2026. A committee has been set up and a lot is expected of us because of the so many parameters they have set for us. And it's not enough to become a professor, but what has been your contribution towards illuminating this university in terms of the visibility? So we want to hear more citations, we want to hear more grants that you are winning and bringing to the university. We want to hear more international appearance you are making in conferences and workshops within and outside Nigeria. And we want the world to know that truly we have professors in the University of Calabar. And we, on our part, will continue to project all of us who have what to offer as far as academic is concerned. Let me thank you for that, and also your membership in fellowship and other your fellowship and membership in professional bodies. Those are the things we look forward to, especially some of our upcoming academics. Please, it's not enough to have a PhD, you have to identify with your professional bodies and make a mark there. Thank you. That is the University of Calabar of the future we want to leave behind. Professor Akpan, you have dwelled extensively on business. I've now known that I'm also a business manager. I'm not just a Vice-Chancellor. So when I give deadline, we are serious about those deadlines. Because that's the only way to, I believe that's a good strategy, when we give deadline. And therefore we must all comply with deadline. Right now there is a deadline we are going to review tomorrow in the Senate. I hope we have all met the deadline. I'm talking about heads of department. Let me also say that I've personally learned a lot about strategies in business. It reminded me of the series of novels I used to read as a child about the Italian mafia. When they started business in America those days, it was not just to kill the business, it was to kill you if you were a strong rival. So I think this killing of business started then. And I hear also from an expert that strategy is to kill other competitors. Please, let's not kill people. Let's kill the business. But I think it's important also to further highlight one very important point Professor Akpan made. That strategy provides a clear direction. So when we talk about anything, whether, since we all do business in, I think that's the bottom line. All the things we are engaging is business because we want result. Sometimes we are not looking at the monetary profit, but we want result, good result. And therefore we must set of some strategic goals. And we must be able to work according to this strategy, because that is the only way that we can succeed. So strategies give us clear direction in our business. And therefore, even when you are in your house, to manage the little resources government has given to us, we must also have a strategic direction of how to manage it. And everything about life is about management. I think that what Professor Akpan has also done in a way is to beginning to make a case for the establishment of business school, which the business, the entire faculty of administration and management presented before me during the tour last week. So we want to hear more about this justification of the establishment of the business school. Let us not just establish it by the mere name. Let's see that we are building the faculty, indeed, the direction towards having a business school that will compete with other established business schools in Lagos and in other places. So I want to welcome all of us who have been here. I'm sure we have taken something home. They don't kill a person, kill the business. Thank you and God bless you.